Hi, I'm Phil Brock. This is Brock on Your Block, and I'm standing in North Santa Monica right now at a great mid-century dwelling that's been updated successfully by a Santa Monica architect. We're going to meet her, and we're going to look at this wonderful house in this episode of Brock on Your Block. You are?
I'm Abeer Sweis, and I'm the owner of Synthesis in Santa Monica.
What's Synthesis? It's at a new juice place?
No. So we are a design build firm. I'm an architect, my husband is a builder, and we join forces to do design build.
And we're in a backyard, really nice backyard, by the way. I wish I had brought my swimsuit because it's very tempting right now. So tell me a little bit about this house. This house was built in?
So it was permitted in 1949, built a year later. It was designed by Frederick Monhoff, who was a mid-century architect at the time, who did a major addition and a renovation of most of the house.
And this has gotten a lot of acclaim. I understand the Conservancy is featuring on their tour in a couple of weeks. I understand that you've been featured in magazines. This is a good thing. So tell me, first, adaptive reuse versus just tearing it down and building again.
Well, it's one of those wonderful things. It's saving a piece of Santa Monica,
yeah.
Right? So, you know, you sit here, you look at a house that has great bones, great architecture, and does it make sense to spend all this money remodeling a small little house in Santa Monica? Saving a piece of Santa Monica, a good piece of Santa Monica. Nice.
Right, because you said the architect, you told me off camera earlier, is featured at the UCLA Architectural Archives.
Yeah, so he was not one of the most well-known mid-century architects, but well-known enough and did enough of the mid-century work that we found his drawings at the archives.
And this, to me, walking through this house, looks like we've just moved to Palm Springs. It's a one-story, ranch style.
Well, it's a mid-century, so it's truly what they call a mid-century, as opposed to a lot of the stuff in the 60s that they refer to as a mid-century.
What's the difference between mid-century and 60s architecture?
Well, so both of them are single, very low-level, single-story homes. However, the mid-century has very distinct features, like what you'll see in some of the stuff in this house. It has very distinct color usage. They have the exposed beams, a lot of indoor-outdoor relationships, I guess. And you can talk a little bit more about the openness of space and continuity of space and continuity of your visual, what you see as you go through the house.
Because one of the things I notice is the connection between the outdoors and indoors here. This is almost a transparent house. And you really see that with windows everywhere, with connection to the outdoors, with the ability to not feel that you're locked into a house, with the doors that seamlessly open between indoors and outdoors, and all these specific lines here. So that's mid-century architecture.
Yes, so they tended to have very low sloping roofs, very low ceilings, but a lot of pushing people's attention to the outside.
And this is a small lot.
This is a very small lot. It's 6,500 square feet, but it is a corner lot, so there's not very much that you can do on a corner lot. So this is built out to almost what it all would be at the moment.
Okay, and you added an entire wing to this house.
We did. So we added an entire wing. It's about 750 square feet total. A very small part of that was an existing one-car garage that we developed into actual home. So it's 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a den for the kids to watch television, essentially.
And it looks great out here. We're going to go inside and see some of the inside. But this is a wonderful house. You are the past president of the Kiwanis Club of Santa Monica. I'm the current vice president. And I think it's so gratifying. You helped me come into the club, and it's so gratifying to help the youth of this community.
It's a wonderful thing.
I love the fact that we give scholarships. We're building a playground. And a playground at Ozone Park, by the time all of you see this, that playground will be done and ready to open. And it's a Kiwanis playground in Santa Monica. How long have you been an architect?
Let's see, 1995. So this would be about 20 years now.
And you're a graduate of?
Woodbury University in Burbank.
Okay. I've been there. I've spoke there, as a matter of fact, on a different subject, not architecture. But I like architecture, and I love looking at everything that's going on. And of course, on Friday mornings, I meet with the SMART group. Every Friday, we talk about planning and architecture, and I've learned so much about design and so much about what not to do in a city versus what to do. So here we are. tell me a little bit, just tell me about what you did to the house and what you think is striking about the renovation.
Well, I think that the very first thing, the best compliment I ever got from people that would drive by on 7th Street, because it's such a busy street, is, I see your sign up there, but it doesn't look like you're doing anything. And I kept telling people that's the best compliment I can get, because the idea was to not look like I was doing something. And so we added on to this house, but it looks like it really could have always been here. And that was the intent, is it does not look like a modern addition. It really looks like this house existed and maybe just got a nice paint job with a few modern materials, right? And so that was really the intent, to really just, you know, pay tribute to the true mid-century.
And you mentioned, so, the ceiling, things like that, and these angles here.
Yeah, so this house has the open beam ceiling, which is definitely one of the mid-century features, and it also has the very low ceilings, which is a definite mid-century feature. And so playing with the two, and as we removed walls, this was a very closed up space, actually.
Which is interesting, because usually now, I would always like to see the taller ceiling and the feeling of openness.
Right.
But they were actually closing in and making it more intimate that way?
Well, it's part of actually pushing your eye to the outside. And so a lot of the mid-century homes, when you walk in, it's actually kind of closed off to the street and very sort of private. And then you walk in and your eyes immediately go out. And you have these big glass doors and windows, and your attention is diverted right to the outside. So it's a lot more about the play between the interior and the exterior than it is about having the volume in your ceilings. And so their play was they would go to 7-foot ceilings, and then they would go to higher ceilings, so there was a little bit of plain ceilings, but not exaggerated ceilings. They wanted to make minimal impact on the earth. So it's actually very minimal.
Okay.
So all these homes, you know, that you see them, and they're like this tiny
So
little...
contrary to the large mega mansions we see in
Yes.
Beverly Hills and parts of Santa Monica now, where you start to see these bigger houses that seem like they've forgotten all about a connection to the outside.
Content, you know, they're contextual. They want to feel like they belong there, and they're not obtrusive. So, and so this house achieves that.
Do you like this style of architecture?
I absolutely love it. I could live here. I mean, it's a great house. It's my absolute favorite thing about it is the openness. And so mid-century, and my conceptual architectural upbringing, let's call it, my philosophy, have a lot of things in common. And I didn't really realize that until I worked on this house. Is a lot of the things that I read about mid-century fall right in line with what I do. So for us, it's always about the indoor-outdoor. It's always about a lot of light and a lot of windows and a lot of view out. You know, exposing materials, using a lot of natural materials, the use of water and fire, and integrating all of those things, you know, from the earth. It's kind of a wonderful thing. And so I love it.
And this house really feels comfortable. Now, I've been in this house about 25 minutes, and it's a very comfortable place. And for me, I like places you walk in and you feel at home and you feel comfortable. And I love the water features here. I love the surfboard on the back wall. I love the fact that even from the street, the fence is that low fence. It doesn't seem like you're separating the house from the streetscape at all. And it complements it, and that's good.
Yes. So that's not the intention. The owners of this home, David and Elaine Vukadinovic, are a huge part of the community as well. So they're very involved with the school district and the education foundation. Their kids go to school nearby, and they walk them to school, and you know they're you know very close with their neighbors. And so the intent is not to close yourself off from the street.
Not to form a castle.
Yes, it's a very neighborly place.
Right.
And the way that they live is also, you know, they want to be comfortable. They have 2 small children, and this is their home. It's not a place that you just, you know, everything is always perfectly in place. It's meant to be lived in. So we designed something that can be lived in. And my favorite times is when I come and the kids are out in what we call the spool, because it's bigger than a spa but smaller than a pool.
Ah, I like that.
And so there's been birthday parties out there that, you know, Hayden and his friends are playing, and it's kind of wonderful.
Abeer, it's been a pleasure. I get to see you almost every week at Kiwanis Club events, and I love your dedication to the city. I love what you've done with this house. For Brock and Your Block, I'm Phil Brock. This is a great house.